Hello friends, Savle here, welcome back to my blind playthrough of Planescape Torment. This is episode 38, and today my plan is to explore the Clerk's Ward, which is, I think out of the places that we see here, it's the only one where we haven't been yet, I believe. So that's what we're going to do right now. Clerk's Ward. Yes, this is indeed a completely new place. Let's see how big it is. I mean, it seems pretty big, but the map was kind of misleading in the lower ward as well, so this one might be of similar size. That remains to be seen, of course. Alright, we got some Harmonium Officers here. We got, what was your name? Dilligence? Interesting name. Matter of Course. That's an even more interesting name, actually. We've got some interesting individuals here. Okay, Dilligence, you go first. Interesting walking animation you've got there. It's almost like you're sleepwalking, you know, considering that it's nighttime and all that. This older, stern-looking woman is clearly on her way somewhere. When she notices your approach, she studies you with a disapproving, tight-lipped frown. Greetings. The woman nods curtly, speaking in a tone cold as ice. Yes? What is it? And watch your words, for I am Dilligence, 4th Magistrate of the Ward. 4th Magistrate, huh? How many magistrates are there? You're who? Dilligence simply stares at you, a faintly disgusted look upon her face. Making great first impressions, aren't we? Something troubling about my appearance? I just got the scars fixed. I should most certainly think so. Should the Apparel Regulation Act be passed, people of your sort won't be permitted to traipse about in such a manner, half naked and filthy as you are. Wow, okay. I'm quite clean, begging your pardon, and meaning no disrespect, madam, some cultures might find your clothes offensive. Alright, so that's like the pushback but diplomatic answer. You're quick to judge one by their appearance, aren't you? That's more straightforward. This look is all the rage in the hive, you know? Perhaps you should try it, it just might suit you. I don't think she would appreciate the Nameless One's sense of humor. Let's do number 2. You're quick to judge one by their appearance, aren't you? You would tell me, then, that you are not a wanderer, meandering about the city, asking questions of all those you come across, engaging in more than the occasional combat to the death with those who cross you? Wow, I feel called out. All that aside, madam, I'm quite clean, and meaning no disrespect, some cultures might find your clothes offensive. Yeah, I guess we will say that. She examines you skeptically for a moment, then nods. Your point is well taken, sir. Okay. It's sir now. That's progress. She actually appreciated that. Still, though, you cannot deny you are a rather rough-looking sort of fellow. Why are we discussing my appearance again? This dialogue tree is more complex or more elaborate than I thought. My appearance is merely a product of my environment, madam, and a difficult life. I shouldn't be held accountable for that. All right. Sure, let's say that. Oh, but you should. How easy it is for one to blame one's life, one's surroundings, for their every failing. I can see by your manner you are well educated, sir, yet you appear to insist upon a lifestyle of wandering and senseless violence. Why not settle in Sigil? Become a contributing citizen, rather than some bloody-handed nomad in its streets? Well, I mean, I was gonna say, I'm not opposed to that, but actually Sigil is kind of a dump. There's a lot of shit going on. There are thugs everywhere, the Lady of Pain is flying around doing weird stuff, and there's all sorts of weirdos out there. The city is alive and giving birth to other quarters. Strange things. Oh, and there's the matter of someone being on our tail and wanting to kill us, was it? Again? Well, all in all, the choice is out of my hands, I assure you, madam. Oh, how so? Her coldness melts away into a look of curiosity. Interesting. I thought she was going to be skeptical. Should I tell her my story? I mean, she is the... That's Mebeth. That's where I rested at before I started the episode. She is the 4th magistrate of the ward, which by which I presume she means this particular ward, which was the cleric ward, right? Well, I'm not sure if it's the best idea to tell her my story, but who knows? She might give us some interesting information. I mean, she's one of the few people who are actually interested in our story, so yeah, I'll tell her my story, or what I know of it. You finish telling her your story. Dilligence looks shocked. That is quite a tale, sir. Were it only a tale, madam, it is my life, and I have the scars to prove it, as you noted when we first met, I believe. We just keep impressing her, don't we? Yes, quite so. She smiles slightly. You had begun to wonder if she was even capable of such a thing. Interesting. Was it a... Man, is this like a smile of, I know something you shouldn't? Or is this just a genuine smile? I'm starting to doubt my decision to tell her. I was gonna say, okay, we made a friend, or, you know, we sort of managed to change this lady's opinion of us, but who knows? Who knows what she's involved in? I wish you luck, sir, in your undertakings. May you find yourself once more. Wow, I really told her everything, didn't I? Thanks. I did have some questions, maybe? She shakes her head. I'm afraid I'm a busy woman, sir. My position as 4th magistrate leaves me little time with which to answer your questions. I am sure another citizen could help you, however. Well, I thought, after telling you my story, you would be more receptive to that. And I was like, okay, the 4th magistrate, which I still don't know what that is, but she made it sound pretty impressive. So I was like, the 4th magistrate surely must know more than the average person here on the street. And she's just too busy to talk to us. She's not too busy to listen to us talk about ourselves. But whatever. Okay, then we have a Matter of Course, which again sounds like a Dustman name to me. But he's a Harmonium Officer, obviously. Stop walking away from me. Us. Actually, let's make sure my whole party is close, just in case they were to...
Wanker City.
I only understood Wanker City, if that is indeed what she said. I just want to make sure they're close in range if they're going to chime in for some reason. This giant of a man wears an equally immense suit of ornate red armor. He regards you cautiously, but without fear as you approach him. Greetings? A booming voice echoes from within his great helm. Greetings, citizen. I am Matter of Course, bodyguard to Dilligence. Ah, 4th magistrate of the ward. You must excuse me, for my duties lie at her side. Farewell. I have some questions? He simply turns and begins to walk away. I suppose he is being a rather matter of course, but wow, okay. Didn't learn too much from him. Let's talk to the regular Harmonium officers. This large, red-armored figure is standing in place, carefully watching passerby. You dimly recall that his ornate armor marks him as an officer of the Harmonium, one who provides law enforcement for the city. I actually recall that quite clearly, thank you very much. It hasn't been that long for me. The man's eyes rove over the ward's inhabitants rather than you when he speaks. Move along. Questions? Though most of his attention is still directed at passerby, he takes a moment to look you in the eyes. Okay, that's good. I was wondering. I was starting to think that every person in this ward would just be like, nope, I got no time for you. Nothing for you here. Move along. That still might be the case. I just need a few answers. He shakes his head. Speak to a citizen, then. I have a job to do here. and I wouldn't neglect it to speak with you or anyone else. Now move along. Fine, let's not push our luck, let's keep going. I'm sure there will be plenty of more people who are willing to help us. For example, this upstanding citizen of the clerk's ward, Shirley. There's someone... He just walked away, okay. There's someone calling for us, I think. But let's go in the other direction. See, now I'm the one playing hard to get. Who do we got here? Barkeeper, Drunken Mage, Cafe Patron, and some named characters. Okay. I'm sure the Drunken Mage will be the most fun, so let's start with them. This older man is staring into his stein of ale, misery etched into his features. The battered pewter mug is an unusual one, lightly engraved with strange runes and bearded faces, and covered with a coat of thin frost. He looks up at you as you approach him. Greetings, sir. He seems slightly tipsy. Interesting mug you've got there. Battered pewter mug, lightly engraved with strange runes and bearded faces. Bearded faces, huh? What's that mug you've got? This. He looks down at the pewter mug. I won this in a dice game. It's enchanted to keep whatever's in it freezing cold. In my case, cheap ale. That's a useful item for sure. He frowns, rubs at his eyes, and takes another swig of this drink. That would be invaluable to have in the summer, wouldn't it? Is something wrong? He sighs, belches into his hand, and nods as he takes another pull of ale. Aye, something's wrong, all right. I've gone and lost my apprenticeship. Well hungover I was and botched my mentor's last experiment, all for this damn drink. He sneers at the mug in his hand, but in seconds his expression softens and he takes another swig. Ruins everything it does, this damnable drinking of mine. Huh. Have you tried to stop? It's easier to say, isn't it? Well, why don't you stop drinking then? This one is too strong. Why don't you stop drinking then?
Updated my journal.
He shrugs and sighs miserably. I simply cannot. I want to, but I cannot. I just need to drink. I try and stay away, but desire eventually overcomes me, and I cannot resist. Such a wreck I've become. He throws back the last of his ale and calls for more. Well, maybe if I say this it will provoke him into wanting to prove something to me, you know? If you're too weak to stop, it's your own fault. Farewell. Well, that was a farewell, wasn't there? Okay, maybe some questions first. He shakes his head sadly, taking another draught of his ale. Nay, nay, you shan't find any answers here. You won't. Okay. I'm wondering what's up with this dude. How could I help him? Maybe there's a hidden skill check somewhere in this conversation, and that's hiding another option that I could potentially have. But what's the stat to help someone with drinking? Actually, it could be strength or constitution. These do sound quite likely. Okay, let's talk to the barkeep. Yeah, maybe we can convince the barkeep not to pour him more ale, right? This smiling man nods cheerfully at you as you approach. Welcome to my cafe, good sir. What might I serve you? Some wine, perhaps? No wine, but I had some questions. The man gives you a helpless sort of look. Humblest apologies, sir, but I make it a policy to serve drinks and nothing more. You shall have to look elsewhere for conversation, I'm afraid. Are you certain you wouldn't like a drink? Or some bread and cheese, perhaps? Actually, I wouldn't mind some bread and cheese right about now. But I guess that's not an option. Oh dear, you haven't said a word? Well, let me just explain. Are these the patrons talking, or is this Nemelle? Sure, let's talk to the patrons first. This finely attired woman is relaxing here, enjoying the outside air while sipping at a beverage purchased from the nearby cafe. Greetings. Her eyes widen slightly as she takes your appearance in. Greetings to you as well, sir. She smiles uneasily. Something troubling about my appearance? I am ashamed to admit that I was momentarily startled by your appearance. 'Tis not often I converse with men of such worldly appearance. She bows her head apologetically. I pray that I have not caused offense, sir. Well, at least she's trying to be polite. Worldly appearance, huh? That's a diplomatic way to put it. Perhaps well-traveled would be more fitting? Your appearance, sir, it's slightly, disheveled. It might make you stand out a bit, is all. But Sigil is full of oddities, no? You can say that again. The cleric's ward just sees less of them than the rest of Sigil, is all. Save for the fest hall, of course. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense that there wouldn't be as many oddities in this part of the city. The fest hall, huh? Well, tell me about the clerk's ward first. Well, the vast majority of the ward, where my duties keep me most often, is filled with record halls and administrative buildings. Not here, though. Ah. Well, what makes this section different? The Civic Fest Hall, of course. The Art and Curio Galleria as well. Some interesting places here. Do go on. Other places of interest might be the Advocate's Home, the Apothecary, the Brothel of Slating Intellectual Lusts, the Catacombs beneath the ward, and the Tailor. And that odd little curiosity shop, too. This place seems more and more interesting by the second. Okay, the Advocate's Home, the Apothecary, sure. The Brothel of Slating Intellectual Lusts sounds like fun. The Catacombs, so I assume these catacombs are probably connected with the ones beneath the lower ward? Maybe? And the Tailor. I mean, these are all sorts of unique places. We haven't seen an Advocate or an Apothecary or a Tailor, and we have seen some working women in the Hive. Actually, that I did say, I think, when I met some of the initial prostitutes, that I would try out their services one day. Maybe that day has come today, but maybe we will do so here in the clerk's ward. But anyway, this might not actually be a brothel. It's the brothel of Slating Intellectual Lusts, which I'm not quite sure what to make of, but intellectual lusts, count me in. Sounds fun. Other questions then? Well, what is of interest here? She did just tell us, didn't she? Where could I find work here? You seek only temporary work, correct? You don't seem the sort to be settling here, no. She pauses for a second, looking you over. So, I would seek work at the Advocate's Home, the Apothecary, or the Civic Fest Hall. There are doubtless some odd tasks that need handling there. Yes, I want to ask you about the Civic Fest Hall in particular, because I'm not quite sure what that actually means. I wanted to ask about a specific place. Wow, I can actually ask about all of them. We are going to be here for a while, but I hope you guys don't mind. The Advocate's Home. Advocates help argue cases, draft legal documents, and act as legal representatives for their clients. The one close by, Ioannis, is well respected and quite dependable. He has resided and worked within the ward a long, long while. Sure, you can tell me how to reach his home. I will definitely forget it in a second, but tell me. Ioannis' home is south of the gate to the lower ward, where you first entered this place most likely. It will be on the eastern side of the road. What can you tell me about the man himself? Okay, she just regurgitated what she said about the advocates, sure. Somewhere else then, the apothecary. The apothecary sells various salves, potions, herbs, and the like. She frowns momentarily. The place's proprietors are a bit barmy, constantly sampling the store's stock. Good men, though. They keep sampling their own stock? Okay, that's fun. How do I reach them? Follow the road that leads east from the gate to the lower ward, where you first entered this place most likely. When the road forks northeast and southeast, go southwards. Isn't that right about where we are, actually? You will find it there east of the road. It faces southwards and has 3 windows of stained glass. Okay, I think I'll stop asking how to find the places because that's not really useful to me anyway. That's you're meant to ask that if you're actually looking for a particular place. You're not meant to ask that for all of them because then you won't remember anything, right? I sure won't. How about the art store? Ivana's Art and Curio Galleria is a most intriguing place. She has a collection of artwork, antiques, and artifacts from all across the plains. Oh wow, it sounds like there could be something there that could jog our memory again. The Brothel. A sensate establishment that exists to pleasure a man's mind and senses. It is run by a succubus, appropriately enough, called Fall from Grace. Okay, this is definitely... It sounds more corporeal than intellectual, you know, with the succubus and all, but a man's mind and senses. It makes a lot of sense that it would be run by the sensates, right? Makes perfect sense in the game's lore. Fall from Grace, you say? You know, I've noticed that more and more of these characters have like these 3-part names made of phrases, almost like Native American names from what I understand about them. I initially thought it was just the Dustmen, you know? There was Awaiting Death, and I think there were more Dustmen who had names like him, and I don't think anyone else really had that. He had those sort of names. But now that I think about it, no, maybe I just didn't really notice that was the case. The naming conventions in this universe sure are interesting. I mean, it might not be like an official name, it might be just a nickname that has really taken off and is now basically used as their name. I don't know, I'm sorry, I'm just, all of a sudden I'm thinking about the origin of names in this universe. Because names are important, names have power, and yada yada yada. I've talked about that like 20 times already. But I think from now on I will try to pay more attention to the names, actually, because I don't know, there could be some interesting info there, something interesting to figure out. Sensate. Yes, their proper name is the Society of Sensation. They believe that the true nature of the multiverse can only be discovered through direct experience. And we do have them noted down, right? Maybe let's put sensates in brackets just to know. But yes, direct experience. That is a philosophy that makes a lot of sense to me, so it's quite memorable. I'm not saying it's a philosophy that I would espouse, but it's one that is pretty straightforward and easy to understand. At least in this basic form. Go on. They dedicate their lives to experiencing as much of the multiverse as they can. They travel extensively, both across the planes and into the depths of their own minds and emotions. But they take it a step further, you know. How so? I might have heard this before, but I don't remember hearing this. They actually have found a means of sharing their experiences with others, with the sensoriums. Oh. Sensoriums. The sensates have created a means by which they may take experiences, capture them in stones, and allow others to experience them? What? Hang on, capturing experiences in stones. That sounds like something quite relevant to the Nameless One? I mean, I'm thinking back to the tomb. Well, what we really saw there were just writings on the wall, right? Writings on the wall from our previous self, and that's what we interacted with, I believe. But I don't know, the idea of capturing experiences in stones, I feel like that will become more relevant in our in our main quest to discover who we were and, you know, what we want to do. Virtually everything they have felt or sensed lies in their sensoriums. Dude, that's crazy. That's gotta be a really interesting place to explore. I hope we get to see one. Where are they located? Within the Civic Fest Hall. Well, there we go. There are sensoriums that are open to the public, and those open only to sensates. There is a slight fee for using them, but it is a modest price to pay for the experience. I can't wait. Let's see, what could this experience give me mechanically? I imagine it will give me like a permanent stat boost, probably, right? Where is the Fest Hall? The Fest Hall is most easy to find, sir. It is a massive structure in the northeastern portion of this area. Northeastern, okay. What can you tell me about it? One of Sigil's most wondrous establishments. It is the headquarters of the Sensate faction, known throughout the multiverse for its concerts, art exhibitions, and lectures. But its most fascinating feature is its sensoriums. Right. Okay, now the Civic Festival has really piqued my interest. I hope we will get to explore it today. Tell me about Under Sigil, the realm below. A look of concern crosses the woman's brow. I find it so strange that any entrances to that place here haven't been closed off. As I understand it, the realm below is full of nothing but trouble, dangerous to all those who find their way there. Find their way there? How exactly? She shrugs. I do not know. I would be most careful were I to find it, though. It is said that nothing comes up from the realm below, including those who enter it. No one has come back to tell the tale, huh? What else can you tell me? Oh, the same thing that you just told me. Sure. Somewhere else then. We did the Civic Fest Hall, tell me about the Curiosity Shop, and then the tailor, and then we'll be out of here. I won't profess to have been in there myself, but I understand it's run by an importer of sorts. A half-fiend, in fact, whose goods come from the lower planes. A half-fiend, okay. So here we can meet a succubus, a half-fiend, who else? This place is awesome. A half-fiend. Not a tiefling, mind you, but a proper half-fiend. Daughter of an incubus and a mortal woman, I am told. I care not for gossip, however, so let's speak of her no more. Well, yeah, I guess succubuses and incubuses are a thing in this universe. I mean, I kind of assumed that, because they're also in Baldur's Gate 3, but sure. You said her goods were from the lower planes? She nods, lowering her voice to a whisper. You know, sir, Beator, the Abyss, and the like, terrible places. Ah, yes, I'm quite familiar with the Abyss. It looks a lot like my desktop. You said she was half-fiend. We did that already. Where can I find it? Doesn't matter. Wanted to ask about something else. Maybe the tailor then. Gonsalves is an excellent I was gonna say traitor. Tailor, but he is short of temper and easily offended. I must warn you, sir, he will likely judge you by your appearance, and thus you might have a difficult time making a friend of him. Good. Well, he should endeavor to make my appearance better, you know, being a tailor and all. But I guess he might just consider us unfixable. Now, what are these characters? We have Abel Ponderthought. That's a funny name. And Nemelle. Nemelle it is, then. Tell me about yourself. This tall, slender woman, sipping wine from a small ceramic cup, appears to be looking for someone. I smell a quest. Her facial features are elegantly exotic, and the woman's ears, though partially covered by her long hair, can be seen to come to sharp points. Greetings? The woman turns to face you, violet eyes flashing like flawless chips of amethyst. Her speech is as music. You can hear a faint musical tinkling, 100 tiny crystal bells as she speaks. Each word lingers in your ears, as if they were unwilling to relinquish the exquisite sound. Whew. She sounds special, doesn't she? Nemelle turned to face the scarred, dour stranger. She asked what he wished of her. Oh, so she narrates her own life in third person? That's fun. Oh. Oh, that's right. Yeah, I was told you know the command word for this decanter. Should we open with that, or should we ask her who she's looking for? Let's open with that. I was told you know the command word for this decanter that I've been carrying around for a couple of episodes now. The woman makes no move to touch or examine the decanter, but only speaks. Nemelle took it from the stranger, turning it in her hands. Had she seen its like before, she thought? Perhaps. Yes, she remembered now. She returned the decanter, whispering into his ear as she did so. Man, she feels like a almost mystical level character, you know? She reminds me of O, who I haven't mentioned in a while, because I only just now remember that he existed, but... And she also kind of reminds me of Kendrian, for some reason. Those are the two characters that I can think of that felt quite mystical. Oh, definitely more so, but Kendrian also felt kind of mystical to me, with him being half invisible and with his knowledge of the planes.
Updated my journal.
You realize you know the word now. Nildenosage, though you're certain the woman never whispered to you, but merely said she did. I'm getting chills. This is such a cool idea. So, what is going on here? I feel like there's almost like an invisible dimension to this conversation right now. And by that I mean she's telling us what's happening somewhere else, in some other space where there are like avatars of our characters, in some other plane or something like that. She's telling us what happens, and then this thing that happens there actually has an impact on us here, on the real world. I feel like that's what's going on here. I feel like she lives beyond this world, but she's able to communicate with us. And her power, her whatever it is that she can do, just takes place outside of this world. She blinks at you. Would the stranger leave her now, satisfied with what she had told him? Well, Nildenosage, that's an interesting word for sure. I was gonna say might be a name, but I don't know, it doesn't really look like a name to me. The command word for this decanter. I'm not satisfied just yet. Are you looking for someone? Where could she be? Nemelle wondered. Her companion, Aelwyn, was supposed to have met her here days ago. The woman sighs miserably. The air around her grows chill with her sadness. How long must she search this vast foreign city before she finds her dearest friend? Okay, so you've got a friend. Possibly even more than that. So you're not like a completely ethereal being. It looks like you've got some human-ish desires or just way of life, let's say. So I'm thinking, could she be like a... The problem is I'm not really familiar with all the races or types of characters in this setting. So I'm trying to think of like what I know from Baldur's Gate 3 again. Sorry to keep bringing up Baldur's Gate 3, but hey, it is an excellent game that I played 3 times. So I don't know. She almost sounds like half fairy. You know, now that we heard about half fiends, the concept of someone having one parent from one race and one parent from the other kind of is stuck in my mind. So I'm like, is she half human, half and some sort of ethereal being? I don't know. I could help you find your friend. What does she look like? Aelwyn, huh? Aelwyn sounds very Tolkien-esque in origin, the name. by which I mean based on Tolkien. Nemelle clasps her hands together and bows her head to you. She would be so pleased to hear news of her friend. She told the kind stranger what Eowyn looked like, so that he would know her should he come across her. An image forms in your mind, a woman who resembles Nemelle, but with golden eyes and hair of fiery crimson. See, this is interesting. She resembles Nemelle, so she might be of the same race, if they're not humans. I mean, she kind of looks human, but she might be of a similar sort of, I guess, nature or even essence, you could say. But obviously looks different. Golden eyes and hair of fiery crimson. Or maybe she could resemble her in a more mundane way, and she's a sister or well, she calls her a friend, so maybe not a sister, I don't know, a relative of some sort. I'll return if I find her. Farewell.
Updated my journal.
What the fuck? We are getting jumped by a shadow. Okay, I was just about to pause and calmly read the journal, but actually, let's do that. I offered to find someone named Eowyn for a mysterious woman I met, Nemelle. I understand Eowyn to be a tall, beautiful woman with golden eyes and crimson hair. Okay. Now let's deal with this shadow if we can. Okay, doing pretty well.
Damn.
Target is immune to weapons, so
Might as well.
yeah, you need magical damage to damage the shadow. Seems. That's what it seems like. Okay, no loot, right? No loot. Okay. And now that we've dealt with that, do we have a new task in our quest journal? We sure do. Find Eowyn for Nemelle. Hopefully she's just somewhere else in the clerk's ward. Oh, okay. I guess I should look for her here then. But let's first talk to Abel Ponder Thought, because even the name itself is interesting. And I think he is actually the one saying this, right? Oh dear, you haven't said a word, but let me just explain. Is an explanation coming? Sometime this century, preferably?
All right.
No, okay. Let's talk to you. This older man looks somewhat bookish. His clothing and accessories are extremely clean, neat, and well cared for, and he often pauses to brush some fleck of dust or lint off of them. A symbol resembling a stylized dagger piercing upwards through a flame is embroidered upon his tunic. A stylized dagger piercing upwards through a flame? Have I seen a symbol like that or heard about a symbol like that? I don't think I did. I can't really remember. Okay, greetings. The man's eyes widen. By the unjust laws of Tuernide... He catches himself, looking apologetic. I say, are you all right? You look... He fumbles for the words. Hurt. I'm all right. Aye, it hurts to look at him, it does. All of a sudden, I'm going to insult Anna. An odd comment from someone with what looks to be a giant rat's tail sprouting from her bottom. What the fuck, nameless one? We're not gonna say that. Very amusing, Anna. I had some questions, sir. The man nods, eagerly. Of course, of course. I am always most happy to answer what questions I can, young sir. About yourself. Me? Certainly. Yeah, the symbol. I could ask about that, but let's start with the pleasantries. Who are you? Why, my name is Abel Ponderthought. Just like that, no explanation, okay. What do you do here? I passed my administrator exam just recently and have achieved the status of an A9, a research consultant in the Hall of Records, one of the many aides specializing in Sigel's physical laws and history. I research topics and laws of interest to others. It is quite fascinating, really. I don't doubt it. A research consultant in the Hall of Records. Okay. I wonder if we can get to the Hall of Records in this game. What's that symbol embroidered on your tunic mean? Okay, is it related to your administrator job? White is the symbol of the Fraternity of Order. Huh. Fraternity of Order? Let's bracket these, by the way, because they don't sound like a real faction. Fraternity of Order, I'm not sure if I've heard about. It doesn't seem like I have. Fraternity of Order. We are responsible for much of the lawmaking and running the courts here in Sigil. Many judges, advocates, and clerks are members of our order, and we are pleased to be able to help enforce Sigil's laws and keep things orderly. We make a strident effort to learn all laws, whether they pertain to Sigil, the Planes, or the multiverse itself. That sounds fucking exhausting. I could not do that. Well, I probably could try to do that, but I would not enjoy it in the least. What does the Fraternity of Order believe then, except for order?
Updated my journal.
The Fraternity of Order believes that the multiverse is governed by laws. When one knows all the laws, one will understand the multiverse. That is our goal. By understanding the laws, their limits, we learn to avoid certain laws. Oh, avoid certain laws. So it's not like an absolutist sort of rule of law faction. Like they don't take the rule of law as an absolute good, maybe? But they sort of strive to understand laws to make better laws? Is that what they're about? I mean, it's definitely more sane than the alternative, than what I proposed initially. If you don't mind me asking, what sort of benefits are in the position? Also, the fact that they're trying to understand all the laws in the multiverse, that's just crazy. That's unrealistic. Well, our fraternity allows us to read languages quite easily, and we may use some rules of the multiverse on occasion to suit our benefits. Alright, read languages, that's something I can get behind as a language graduate. I had some questions then. Actually, I had other questions. That's a funny way to build a dialogue tree. About this place, sure. I'll admit I know little of this part of the clerk's ward, but please ask. Well, I mean, I'm not sure if I should ask him. I'll probably get just the same answers, but let's try again. What's of interest around here? There is one of the finest advocates in Sigil located here. The Civic Fest Hall, the home of the Society of Sensation, is also located nearby. He lowers his voice. And the brothel, sir, of slating intellectual lusts. Well, tell me of the advocate. Sounds like your ballpark, right? He is also one of the Fraternity of Order. There we go. Though his time there has ebbed somewhat since the unfortunate troubles he has experienced, I am not one to speak of them. His residence is just across the way, yeah, and so on. Then, tell me about the Fest Hall. It is a beautiful structure that is both the headquarters of the Society of Sensation and acts as a hall for the arts here in Sigil and the Plains. It is an opera house, museum, art gallery, wine shop, tavern, training hall, theater, sensoriums. Many things can be found there. Okay, I knew about the sensoriums. And I guess I knew about the art gallery too, but the wine shop? The training hall? Excuse me? It's gotta be huge. It's gotta be like its own map. I mean, every interior is its own map in this game, but you catch my meaning. Tell me about the Society of Sensation.
Journal.
What do you think about them from your viewpoint as an order, as a brother of order, I suppose? Ah, the Society of Sensation. They are one of the most prominent of Sigil's 15 factions. They hold the belief that the true dark of the multiverse can be known only by directly experiencing as much of the universe as possible, tasting every substance, feeling every range of emotion, and visiting every place in the multiverse. You know, interesting to hear you say that they are one of the most prominent. I think I will mark this fact in my list, maybe by bolding their name. They do sound quite important. If I had to rank, or maybe not rank, but just highlight the important ones, the Harmonium definitely seems important, considering that they're all around these two wards that I have explored the last. I guess the Dabus would be important too, because they serve the Lady of Pain. if they're even considered a faction, but I think they are. The Dustmen are also quite prominent, and I suppose the Collectors too. And the Chaos Men, maybe? Maybe the Godsmen. Okay, actually everyone is important. You know what? Not the Chaos Men though. I haven't really seen much of those, or many of those, I think. He continues. Their faction headquarters is at the Civic Fest Hall, where they seek to bring experiences to all of Sigil. At the moment they are the most numerous faction in all Sigil, and the most powerful. If I am not mistaken, the most recent census of their members is over 20 times 1,000 members. What? Okay. That really puts things into perspective. You know, just how big Sigil is supposed to be. Wow. Oh, I can ask about Sigil, and I can ask about the factions, but about how many of them? I can ask about the Lady of Pain. Wow, okay, this guy is like a fountain of knowledge. We will stay here for a while. Tell me about the factions. Yes, there are 15 factions in Sigil. It's interesting that I keep hearing it here. In the Hive and in the Lower Ward, nobody... Well, no, actually, in the Lower Ward is where I learned it, but in the Hive, nobody really spoke about that. Everyone just kept mentioning the factions. But now I've come here and everyone is like a walking encyclopedia willing to give me a rundown of the factions, which I love. There are 15 factions in Sigil. Once there were 49 factions. Okay. I'm trying to think of 34 additional factions to add to this game. Like, what other philosophies could you base your factions on? Because the factions here are very much based on philosophies, aren't they? A lot of them are. Well, actually, almost all of them seem to be. Which I like very much, actually. You know, I sometimes enjoy thinking about game design. I mean, I'm not a game developer myself. I don't really have any technical skills to pull it off, and I've never tried to design a game, but I've thought about game design for a while. It's just like something I like to think about in my free time. And I came up with the idea of a game where all the factions are based on various philosophies. Guess what? The game exists, and it's been out for longer than I've been alive, just barely. Or no, actually, I've been alive for like 2 weeks longer than this game or something like that. I'm not sure. I think it did release in December 1999. So I'm technically older than the game. But anyway, the game already exists. This is very much true, right? I mean, the factions seem to be based on philosophy. So I love this. Let me learn all about them. Then, about 600 years ago, the Lady of Pain let it be known that only 15 would remain. That was known as the Great Upheaval. I gotta write this shit down because this is super important. Okay. Okay, 600 years ago. 600 years ago, 49 factions. But Lady of Pain did the Great Upheaval. He continues, and sure enough, in a fortnight 34 of them perished or faded. Many thousands died by sword or by other means. Many were simply found dead. I myself am a member of the Fraternity of Order. Others include the Believers of the Source, the Godsmen, the Dustmen, the Harmonium, the Mercy Killers, the Revolutionary League, which I don't think I have on my list, right? The Society of Sensation, and the Zausitekts, or Chaos Men. Should the X be pronounced as a Ch? As a Chaositect? Actually, because the X is the X represents the Ch sound in the International Phonetic Alphabet, right? So maybe I've been pronouncing this all wrong this entire time. It would kind of make sense to me because, well, chaos is pronounced with a K at the beginning in English, and in Czech, my native language, it's actually chaos. So that's maybe I am supposed to pronounce it like that. Chaosman, chaositects, maybe. It sounds more and more likely the more I think about it. Show more. You can tell me about all of them. Oh, this is going to be the rest of the episode, isn't it? I love it. Strap in, guys. Actually, another interesting thing about the word chaositects. I don't think I've mentioned it before, but it very much reminds me of the word architect. You know, the end of the word there almost seems derived from architect. But I don't know, it sounds a bit contradictory because chaosmen are presumably all about chaos, whereas an architect has to work with order to produce something, to create something. So the name itself sounds kind of paradoxical to me, and I wonder if there's like a hidden meaning behind that. Okay, let's start from the... Well, he did tell us about the Fraternity of Order, didn't he? Let's just remind myself. Right, the multiverse is governed by laws. Yes, and now let's get to the Godsmen.
Updated my journal.
The believers of the Source, or Godsmen, believe that every living thing in the multiverse has the potential to become a power. Interesting that I only now updated my journal with this info when I've heard it like twice already. He continues, the Godsmen have their headquarters in the Great Foundry, and they have helped to keep peace in Sigil in a number of matters. They have no desire to see any creature placed in the Dead Book before it has a chance to reach its potential. Right. The Dustmen then?
My journal.
Sure, let's just go through them, just so we have them in our journal. The Dustmen believe we are already dead, that Sigil and the plains are where we all end up after we die. According to their beliefs, everything is dead, and this existence is a false one. To keep any ties or feelings for this existence only prevents a soul from truly dying. It is quite a disturbing thought, isn't it? He continues, you see, the Dustmen believe that death in this existence is a matter of degree, and only those who are truly dead and have divested themselves of all ties to this existence can hope to be at peace. A philosophy that has some basis in fact, but much of it bears further examination. Some basis in fact, huh? I mean, I've known this about the Dustmen for a long time. But hearing about their philosophy put side by side with the other factions, it's interesting. It makes me wonder what sort of conditions would shape these philosophies to be, well, established and to become so prominent, like these various types of philosophies that we see here. Because, you know, philosophy is usually a response to something, right? A philosophy as a philosophy of life is obviously just a response to life, to being alive, right? But when it comes to like philosophy, for example, political philosophy, it's a response to the need of people to govern themselves somehow, you know? And I don't know, it feels to me like every philosophy is kind of created to solve a problem. So I'm trying to think, like, what is the problem here? What is at the core of this world, you know? I know a lot about this world. I know about how it's structured with the outer planes and the inner planes, and I could probably use a refresher on that. I'm not sure if I should refresh myself on that in my own time, or if maybe I should just straight up include that in the episode. Maybe let me know if you would like to see me do that again, because it's been a while since we talked to Cantrian. So if we could maybe hop back to him and talk to him about the planes again, with the greater understanding that I now presumably have. Well, I don't know, this is making me think about the wider world, and it's making me think about it in a very nebulous way, so I don't really have anything to put into words just yet. But I'm doing my best. The Harmonium, then.
Updated my journal.
The Harmonium is devoted to peace and harmony throughout the planes. Thus their name. They believe that the end justifies the means, however, and so are willing to do just about anything to get a fellow to see things their way. Regardless of one's personal opinion of them, they do a fine job of policing Sigil's streets. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like, these factions, they're basically one sort of central doctrine taken to the extreme. You know, prioritized above anything else. It's sort of, it's almost like one-dimensional, but not in a bad way. It's philosophies taken to the extreme. It doesn't seem to me to be like a combination of 2 or 3 philosophies for each faction. It just seems to be this one central thing that they believe, and they just build their entire life around it, which is fascinating, and that's exactly the idea that I had when thinking about game design, like I mentioned. The end justifies the means, huh? Well, yes, peace and harmony. I could note this down, but honestly, just thinking about it, the name is self-explanatory, isn't it? I would say that the Dustmen, the names are very evocative, aren't they? The Dustmen, they believe that we are dust. Harmonium are about harmony. Mercy Killers, I would need a refresher on those. Sensation, Fraternity of Order, Revolutionary League. Well, the Revolutionary League wants a revolution, obviously. I'm not sure against whom exactly. If it's just a Sigil faction, then it's against the lady, presumably. Maybe it's like a worldwide faction, or worlds-wide faction, I don't know. But probably not. These are Sigil factions, right? Yes, the Mercy Killers.
Updated my journal.
The Mercy Killers believe that justice is everything. Malin, their last factal, once said that when properly applied, punishment leads to perfection. Punishment leads to perfection. That is a striking phrase. All about justice. Justice. Punishment leads to perfection. Continue to listen. He continues. Those new to Sigil oft-times commit the error of thinking their name implies that they kill out of mercy. Right, that's what you would assume. Rather, though, it is that they seek to kill mercy itself. The faction members take it upon themselves to punish the guilty of Sigil, whatever the cost. Ah yes, now the name does make a lot of sense, doesn't it? Mercy Killers, yeah, justice, of course. Of course, it's all so simple, isn't it? Once you know it. The Revolutionary League. I would like to hear more about those, because I don't think I've heard of them before today.
Updated my journal.
Oh, they are the anarchists. Never mind. That makes a lot of sense. Well, sure. I suppose I could have thought about that. Then again, I was thinking, you know, maybe the anarchists are almost like the Indepts, in that they're not actually a singular faction, because, you know, faction implies a structure, and structure is sort of contradictory with anarchy as such. So I was like, maybe the anarchists don't have a singular organization. But then again, if they want to actually achieve something, they do need to at least somehow organize themselves. And actually, the Revolutionary League sounds like they're more or less equals, right? So yeah, I guess that makes sense. They are also called the anarchists. Not many know this, but the Revolutionary League is actually quite widespread in Sigil. And a shame that is too. They hold the misguided belief that all institutions have been established to block their access to the truth of the multiverse. Oh! So it's not like a political faction despite the name. The truth of the multiverse. So are they like seekers of truth? Forget what I said about one-dimensional. This is quite fleshed out. And again, when I said one-dimensional, I did not mean it as a derogatory term in any way. I think there is a value in having a faction that just represents one central thing, you know? The truth of the multiverse. I guess I would need to know what that means for them, so I will shut up and continue to listen. The only way they see to discover the truth is to tear down all organization. They claim that the truth can only be discovered when people are completely free. He shakes his head. I often wish that they would open their eyes to the truth around them. They do nothing but blind themselves and block everyone's access to the truth. Wow, this is the one faction where you really feel the need to express your own opinion of them, don't you? You've been pretty neutral about the other ones. Like, sometimes you told me what you think about them, but here it almost sounds like he's about to go on a longer rant. Maybe not. He gives a long sigh, then wags his finger disapprovingly as if talking to some imaginary bad child. Oh, he really doesn't like them. It is interesting to note that they have no real plans for seeking the truth, past tearing down everything that they can see. Very interesting indeed. He frowns. It is also of interest that while the Revolutionary League has a large number of members, the very nature of their faction causes these members to work counter to each other's interests. That's what I was saying. Anarchy contradicts the idea of an organization, you know? Often, cells find amongst each other, each one claiming to know the proper way to go about tearing everything down. Right. It's interesting that they actually just have no goal beyond tearing everything down. I mean, I know that's what anarchists mean, right? But I know that's what the term means. But But what you said about the truth. I mean, you keep talking about the truth of the multiverse. Block everyone's access to the truth, and they don't see the truth around them. Like, what is this truth that they seek? Is it just independence? Is it just freedom? It sounds like that's what it is. But then what's the relation between independence and freedom, you know? Like, what's the relationship there? It doesn't really make sense to me to identify the two. The sensationists, then. That's not what they're called. Ah, the Society of Sensation. They are one of the most prominent of Sigel's 15 factions. Did I bold them yet? Yes, I did. They hold the belief that the true dark of the multiverse can be known only by directly experiencing as much of the universe as possible. The true dark of the multiverse? What do you mean by that? Like the true nature, the true essence, or the true meaning, or the true dark of the multiverse? What does that mean? Tasting every substance, feeling every range of emotion, and visiting every place in the multiverse. He continues. Their faction headquarters is at the Civic Fest Hall, where they seek to bring experiences to all of Sigil. At the moment, they are the most numerous faction in all Sigil, and the most powerful. Okay. If I'm not mistaken, the most recent census of their members is over 20,000 members. You said that already, yes. But you did not say that they are the most numerous, in fact, and the most powerful. Well, the idea of this faction kind of evokes hedonism or Epicureanism, but that's not what this is, right? Like, they're not in it for the pleasure of sensation. Because hedonism is about experiencing pleasurable things. And this is just about experiencing and feeling absolutely everything. Including pain and whatever negative experiences and emotions you can think about. And then we have the Chaositects. I guess I will pronounce it like that from now on, because it makes much more sense to me. The Chaositects.
Updated my journal.
He harums. Rabble-rousers. Not a proper faction at all, that raggedy bunch. Why, even the Revolutionary League is more organized. The Chaositex thinks that by embracing chaos they'll somehow discover the secrets of the multiverse. Ridiculous notion. I'm trying to think about where the Revolutionary League and the Chaositects would be on the diagram, on the spectrum. I mean, both are chaotic, right? Chaos Men sound like chaotic evil to me. Chaotic evil, maybe. And anarchists or the Revolutionary League, chaotic neutral, is that what you say? I think so. Chaotic neutral. Who would be chaotic good, though? This is definitely something about lawful evil, maybe? Let's just put it there. Do we have a chaotic good faction? I can't really think of one. Maybe the Indepts, who don't really seem to be a faction, but sure. Not an organized faction, anyway. Is that all of them? Yes, it does seem to be all of them. I'm just double checking that I didn't miss any of them. I did not. All right. Let me ask you about something else. The man nods eagerly. After all this, okay, he's still willing to share more stuff. Of course, of course. I am always most happy to answer what questions I can, young sir. This city. Yep, I'm curious about the Lady of Pain. Actually, now that I think about her name, the Lady of Pain. So, pain rules this city, right? So I guess that's what all these factions are reacting against. But how does pain ruling the city manifest itself in this? Like, I mean, there is a lot of pain in the Hive. There doesn't seem to be as much pain here. Whatever. Not sure what to think about that, but I guess I'm getting too much into the less than relevant stuff. Tell me about the lady. The Lady of Pain, yes, yes. She is the force behind Sigil, you know. Very impressive figure, but little is known about her. Such as? He begins sticking off the points on his fingers. 1. She is not just a symbol of Sigil, as some claim. She is very real and very dangerous. I don't need to write this down because I felt that firsthand. 2. She is believed to be the one that keeps the powers, deities, out of Sigil. As long as she is present, the powers cannot enter Sigil. True. Now, what would it mean for Sigil and its inhabitants if the powers actually did enter Sigil? I don't know. I don't know enough about the powers to judge that. 3. She also prevents unauthorized teleporting and gating into and out of Sigil. It prevents the Outer Planes creatures from bringing even more of their kind to Sigil outside of the conventional routes. 4. She has never spoken to anyone. Now we're getting into some interesting stuff. 5. She usurped control of Sigil from Eoskar, a power now believed dead. That's true, we do know Eoskar as a deity. Well, we don't know him personally, but we know about him. Prevents unauthorized teleporting. Okay, that makes sense. She has never spoken to anyone. I mean, she doesn't exactly seem like the chatty type to me. But I don't know, maybe she likes to have tea with her friend at 5 p.m. every Wednesday. What do I know? Well, apparently she doesn't, so I guess that's not on the table. 6. Anyone who threatens Sigil or her is punished, either by falling beneath her shadow, which results in a series of invisible stab wounds that can kill even greater Batazu, or by being sent to the mazes from whence few ever escape. 7. She does not like to be worshipped. Those that do are often found with their skin missing. Yeah, that's the pain part. I love that he keeps numbering these things that he's telling me. I find it incredibly satisfying. I guess I really just, like, enjoy numbers. Anyone who threatens Sigil is punished by falling beneath her shadow, which results in a series of invisible stab wounds. A series of invisible stab wounds? Okay. If they're invisible, how do you know they're stab wounds? I guess they're just, like, dagger-shaped holes in your body? Unless we're talking about, like, metaphorical stab wounds, but I don't think so. Kill even greater Batazu. The mazes. Well, we did escape from one. Oh, there is still more he wants to tell us. And lastly, so that's 8, the sight of her is believed to drive others mad. Huh. It did not drive me mad. Or did it? She stole control of Sigil from a power. How do you know this? This the belief of my order. Hang on. I want to know facts. Are you telling me this is just what your order believes? Huh. Okay, I mean, you seem like a reliable source of information, so sure. I guess if I'm gonna learn things from anyone, the Fraternity of Order is the best sort of faction to go with, because they like to keep things in order, so information presumably doesn't get as lost as with the other factions, maybe. You'd said the sight of her drives people mad. Yes. He ponders it for a moment. But I must add the caveat that I have never seen her, you understand. Well, good, because then you would be mad, and I would be mad for talking to you. So, how is it that you know she created Sigil? 'Tis the belief of my order. Hang on, what? So she stole control of Sigil, and she also created Sigil? How is that not a contradiction? I guess she could have stolen control of something that would become Sigil, and then transformed it into something that is Sigil. But it's getting a bit complicated, isn't it? And you said that the sight of her drives people mad, and that's what I just said, so I'm not going to say that again. Okay, so your order believes... I'm actually going to write that down, because this is quite important information. Believes the lady created Sigil and also stole control of it from Eoskar, right? Other questions about Sigil, maybe? What's outside of Sigil? No one knows, and it is not from want of trying. At the places where no true wall exists are solid walls of buildings, with no windows that look beyond. Some claim to have climbed roofs and seen the outside of Sigil, but they can only describe the outside as nothing. Huh. Okay. So Sigil is just like its own plane of existence with nothing outside of it. He continues, that is an unacceptable explanation, but it still remains a mystery. It is rumored without fact that to step beyond Sigil's walls takes the traveler to a random plane, but this has not been confirmed. Oh, are we going to confirm this for ourselves? The Fraternity of Order has mounted many expeditions, and we have yet to retrieve concrete information. Mount expeditions. Okay. Explores the edges of Sigil, I suppose, is what I should note down. The edges of Sigil to see what's beyond. Unsuccessfully. I think that's how you spell it. Where does daylight here come from? I don't see a sun. That's a very good question. Well, the reason I don't see the sun is because this is an isometric game, so I can't see it, but I guess I actually don't see a sun. The Nameless One does not see a sun, huh? The haze can make it difficult to determine for certain, so I understand your difficulty. The light comes not from a sun, but from a gradual luminescence that fills the sky. It reaches a peak called Peak, and then fades until the sigil is completely dark, called, let me guess, Dark. No, called Anti-Peak. The source of luminescence is unknown, but it is most likely the lady's will. That's your scientific explanation for daytime? For daylight? It's the lady's will? Okay. I guess the lady just sort of conjures up all this light every day? Huh. I definitely should have started a journal entry on the lady, but I'm not gonna do that now. Is there anything else for me to ask about? This place, well, yeah, I guess this. Why is it called the Clerk's Ward? It is the seat of much of Sigil's record halls and administration. The staff at these places give the ward its name. Many clerks, scribes, priests, bureaucrats, and administration officials live in this ward. Uh-huh. What's of interest around here? Right, that's... I asked about that already. And what about... know of any work available locally? None of the temporary sort, no. Okay, I guess that's the one thing that you're not really knowledgeable on. And I think that's all the information you had for us. Holy shit, that was a very interesting conversation. I learned so much talking to that guy. And I hope I will be able to put all my knowledge in good use in future episodes. Thank you very much for watching. I have been Savle, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.